Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Jordan took a sip pre-show. She yacked a little bit. We'll follow up with it. I kind of feel like it is one of those Mondays where you could crack open a cold one or a box of wine. Go ahead and pour it out. You know what's funny is I was telling Jordan I got these books, and one of them, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. So if you think you're listening to the audiobook Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, you're going to learn about like the Air Jordan experience. No, you stumbled into a podcast, Binge-Watchers podcast, of course. Yours truly, Johnny Spoiler, kicking cans over here about Wi-Fi disruptions. But we do have a Jordan on the show. It's Jordan Savage, the Savage Scream Queen herself. As I was trying to say, I'm kind of jinxing myself, but I'm in an office complex and my computer was toggling between Wi-Fi's for this little StreamYard thing. And I lowered my guard because it's got a duck, a nice little thing where you download an app and it's got a nice little animal face. You trust it. You don't think it's going to crack the Wi-Fi, and then it does. And then you don't get to capture good jokes. Like Jordan was like, do I have peppercorn in my teeth? And I was like, what a great intro. Don't think it got caught in the StreamYard because the Wi-Fi broke at the wrong time. And again, this is not the memoir about Phil Knight, and it has nothing to do with the movie about making the Air Jordan. I'm going to spoil movies that I love. We're actually talking about fantasy movies, and I'm calling them fantasy movie vibes. We got a few more episodes like that. We're going to stroll down memory lane and talk about freaking Excalibur. We're going to be like the best and weirdest and most casual version of explaining the Excalibur movie that you've ever heard, but enjoy it. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. And we kind of have like our own vibe.
It is clearly a whole thing.
I'm like thrown off. Also during the theme song, I don't know if you heard Jordan yakking. She wasn't yakking about tonight's movie. At least I don't think so.
No.
She's yakking on what's in your cup?
It's water.
Oh, it's water.
I should have worn my sneak.
Who drowns drinking water? Choke on water.
I'm rinsing all the peppercorns out of my teeth still.
I thought you would say like I had to rinse the taste of this podcast out of my mouth.
No, never.
Not yet. The episode's not done yet. Let's see what else is going on. Home video headlines. We'll get really started. Actually, no, before that, we got to talk about casual social grooming, men's fashion. Is that even such a thing? I actually think Manscaped could be people-scaped. I think women can use it too. I think Jordan had said in the past that anybody can scape, and it might be true.
Yeah, why not?
Usually I have these controls that I toggle. I'm like really thrown off. What's going on? I'm like on my own quest to figure out how to control electronic videos.
We got this.
We kind of do. There's video clips somewhere where they are. Oh, here we go. Okay. I got it. Cannonballs? The summer is not about the size of those cannonballs. It's about making a splash with our friends, Manscaped. Prep for barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs the summer has ever seen. When you're out of that cookout, let the meat speak for itself with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. It's time to get ready and not sweaty by going to manscaped.com and using code BWPOD for 20% off and free shipping. I love how there's like no buffer between us and the ads and like technical difficulties. Such a raw show, and it's always been that way, folks. Deal with it. I'm trying to be satirical when I can, but I'm actually, the ad said something about sweating bullets. I'm like thinking like, I'm literally sweating here. I'm dressed like Magnum PI. I got too relaxed. I'm like here to do a podcast, but I'm just kind of like zoning out. Anyway, our first segment is called Home Video Headlines. Let's see what's going on. Former VP of Paramount, Don Granger, was recently interviewed on a podcast called 50 Miles Per Hour. Are they as good as us? I don't think so. I hate dropping other podcast names on the show. But if I hadn't found out about this podcast, I wouldn't know what he said about Speed. He said Speed was his idea for Beverly Hills Cop 3. He's like, let's put Axel Foley on a bus. Now, in reality, what happens in Beverly Hills Cop 3 is, and most people consider it the worst one of the series, and it's kind of lukewarm at best, in my opinion. It becomes a parody of Disneyland. Like Axel Foley, the detective from the movies, deals with like a Disney type character who run like an eccentric billionaire Disney type character who runs an amusement park, and it's being infiltrated by like a criminal organization that's running an outfit behind the scenes. Yeah, it's horrible. The first two are great, and we're hoping the fourth is coming out soon, and the fourth looks pretty good.
Sounds like that could have been a cool premise, though, for the third.
Yeah, well, did you ever see Speed with Keanu Reeves? And I think like it's the movie that puts, what's her name? Sandra Bullock. If Speed didn't put her on the nap, then the nap, it put her to sleep. It put her whole career to sleep. No, what I meant to say was on the map, M-A-P, if I can get the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I think Sandra Bullock became a household name because of a little action movie called Speed, where if you go under 50 miles an hour, this bus is going to blow up. All perpetrated by a retiring police officer that's got some beef with his organization and then takes it out on other cops, played by Keanu Reeves. He gets on the bus and he's like, we got to keep this thing going, but the freeway is running out of freeway. What are we going to do? If we slow down, we're all going to die. And that's the general premise of Speed. It would have been cool to see Eddie Murphy and Axel Foley do that, but then we wouldn't have Sandra Bullock. I mean, you could argue that like The Net was good and maybe made her. You could argue that like Miss Congeniality made her. You could say.
I mean, Practical Magic's my favorite one.
Okay, yeah, and then there's this dark drama where a couple of witch sisters have to deal with a husband that isn't treating one of them right. They do some magic. It's called Practical Magic because I think the theory of the novel is that it's everyday magic and it's used by real witches and Wicca and it's like really good stuff. And then they make like an accident that crosses into like black magic, sorcery or whatever. Because spoiler alert, dude ends up dead.
Yes.
And then
in my opinion, Sandra Bullock goes on the map in that movie when she's running down the street in the denim shorts.
I'll let you sneak in Practical Magic right now because technically we're talking about fantasy movies this series. So I guess that's fine.
It works.
In the rumor mill, Jennifer Garner, who played Elektra in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, and her own spinoff. I didn't see it. I did see the Daredevil movie, though. I'm laughing at my own comment, folks. Sorry. Jennifer Garner, like her Elektra character is basically like Elektra in Marvel Comics is like an assassin. I don't know. She has a relationship with Daredevil. I don't know what her relationship is to Deadpool, but she might be making a cameo in Deadpool 3.
That could be
cool. Also, there is some rumors that maybe Ben Affleck's version of Daredevil is going to show up in Deadpool 3 because they're continuing like the multiverse, like different dimensions of superheroes is continuing, right? So they have a chance to bring back people that are no longer canon, but had made these superhero movies before. But you know what? Speaking of a movie that's trying to do like a multiverse type deal and bring back the old Batman 89, which is everybody's favorite Batman. And don't kill me. I'm just the messenger. Forbes is saying, and also like, cherished publications like The Guardian are saying that The Flash is a box office failure based on studio projections. However, Insidious 5 is doing better than expected. So I don't know what that tells you. I don't know. You can make a sequel to Insidious every year and do all right. And I guess you just can't touch on the golden oldies of bringing back Michael Keaton as Batman. However, the failure of The Flash may have killed Batman Beyond, Batman Beyond is kind of a cool premise. Do you know about Batman Beyond? Did you ever see the cartoon or anything?
No, not the cartoon.
So Batman Beyond is like, there's this kid named Terry McGinnis, and he's stumbling around and becomes like a vigilante, and then he accidentally crosses paths with, a retired Batman, and then Bruce Wayne teaches him how to be a crime fighter, and he becomes like the Batman Beyond, right? It's like in the future. It'd be like the high-tech version of Batman. Sci-fi kind of stuff. And it was a cartoon. It was really cool. And then like the comic books continued the story and like it confirms that like he's actually a clone of Bruce Wayne. Like, so he's like actually, genetically related because he's a clone. He's like a son of Batman kind of. I think I just spoiled the end of the Batman Beyond comic book. Whatever. Anyway, you have to get really super into it to find that out. But anyway, because I don't know if the cartoon tells you that or if the comic book is the only source. But I would have loved a Batman Beyond movie. I would have loved another just Keaton straight sequel with Keaton, but apparently, like, the Flash would have to have done super well. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. Who knows? Tonight's movie, The Magical Sword of Excalibur, starts off with Uther Pendragon, and then it's going to show you how, Arthur shows up and how he tries to form the Knights of the Round Table. Meanwhile, there's drama between Merlin and Morgana Le Fay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets really dark from there, but it's kind of like John Borman did a great job of exploring the myths and legends of Arthur that get told in such a way, to me, I think, like, you'd almost believe the magic is real, or you can almost believe the legends with this movie. And I was reading part of the Google description of the movie, folks, about, like, whatever. I guess, should I read the descriptions, then make fun of them, and then tell you what I think the movie's about? I don't know. I'll have to come back around to that. Usually I just tell you, like, hey, this is the movie. I don't know. It's either my version or it's like the documented version that everybody accepts. Like, hey, this is the story of King Arthur. This is the movie. Anyway, like, Jordan, do you have savage stats about tonight's movie?
Oh, I'm going in on the savage stats. Yeah. So many of them. All right, we got
too many. There's
too many.
It's a historical movie. There's like too many movie facts. Good luck.
I'll try to, yeah, literally. I could probably make it through pretty quick. So Sir John Borman had planned a movie adaptation of the Merlin legend as early as 1969. United Artists rejected his concept, offering him the Lord of the Rings instead. When that fell through, he went back to this movie. Some of the UA brass who turned this project down had eventually moved on to found Orion Pictures, which is where this movie was finally realized. The initial fight scene.
Take a break right there, because you mentioned Orion Pictures.
I'm sure
I also sent you a text message about Orion Pictures because, like, I freaked out when I saw the logo because I didn't remember or even acknowledge that Orion Pictures had distributed Excalibur. And again, like, there's too many Orion Pictures movies to talk about. However, I think, like, I think the studio, they did go bankrupt, and then, like, somebody just recently brought them back from extinction. But they have a crazy legacy. Like, look at some of the movies that they released. Caddyshack, First Blood, which is called now Rambo 1, I think. Amadeus, The Terminator, The Return of the Living Dead, Flesh and Blood, which is kind of a fantasy movie, more historical about the plague, bubonic plague. That's a really good movie. It's got Jennifer Jason Leigh and Rutger Hauer, and it's kind of like knights during the time of the plague, and it's good. It's more of a At Close Range with Sean Penn and Chris Penn and Christopher Walken, and I think Sean Penn might have been nominated for At Close Range. Then Three Amigos, Dances with Wolves. Okay, the movie that made Costner something a household name. RoboCop 2 and 3. One of my all-time favorite movies. It's probably in my top 10. The Unbearable Lightness of Being. It's indie, but, like, that's a movie they should teach at film school. I think they probably do. Probably at the snobby schools, they probably talk about this movie. It's one to look up. It's a drama. That movie has so much technique, it's insane. It shouldn't even be a movie, but it is. Anyway, that's The Unbearable Lightness of Being. Platoon, and a comedy with Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito called Throw Mama from the Train. So first of all, those are all historical movies, comedies, dramas, action movies, science fiction movies, like things that are, like, talked about and discussed and beloved on our show. We've mentioned some of those titles before, and come to find out, tonight's movie was also distributed by Orion Pictures. I didn't make the connection until Jordan said it, and hot damn.
Welcome to the Orion Pictures podcast.
Oh, man.
All right.
They would probably bankrupt if they decided to buy us out. Podcasts, man. Everybody's like reading between lines, like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, anyway, we'll get back on track. I swear we'll get back on track. Okay.
We got some more stats over here. Yeah. We have, so the initial fight scene had to be filmed 3 times. It was filmed at night, and all of the film came out underexposed the first 2 times due to a fault in the exposure meter. The cameraman had a nervous breakdown over this issue and had to quit.
Oh, dude.
I know.
I want to see that
The
movie.
nerves.
I'm gonna get the
Yes,
rights to tell the
just
story of just the cameraman. Yeah, the cameraman
the
has a nervous
cameraman.
breakdown about trying to light Excalibur at the beginning of the production, going like, "There's so much at stake. My entire career." You know what I mean? Like, damn.
I'm a fan of behind the scenes, so
Yeah.
I watch that for sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who can't?
Copyrighted trademark. We own it. We're writing it. You can't take it from us, Warner Brothers.
All right, we got Dame Helen Mirren and Nicole Williamson were initially reluctant to work with each other. They had been in a disastrous production of Macbeth and were not on speaking terms. Writer, producer, and director Sir John Boorman cast them because their natural animosity would be perfect, which I also agree. I thought that
that's Merlin and Morgana Le Fay. So that's the wizard and the sorceress at arms with each other over the fate of England here. Like, they're trying to literally run the tapestry.
Yes.
Arthur and his family and manipulate it with their magic. And Morgana's like all about revenge, right?
I am a fan.
Merlin's trying to fulfill, like, I guess in this version, he's trying to fulfill like what he thinks are prophecies.
Right. Well, I mean, he's like there to serve like the king, right? Whoever that king may be, or who he thinks like the one is, you know? So exactly. He's trying to like aid these, prophecies to become true, and gets caught in the mix rather often. There's a couple times where I was laughing pretty hard at him. Definitely a character. According to Mirren, her and Williamson wound up becoming very good friends during filming. So that's pretty cool. I think this is hilarious. So before the final battle, Arthur's knights are camped around a Stonehenge-like formation on the hill. And according to the writer, producer, and director Sir John Boorman, some American tourists drove by and they saw the formation and hiked up the hill. And I think that's just so funny. Thinking,
could you see like a dude like just wandering up there, cracking open a beer, cracking open a course, going like, "Are we at Stonehenge, dude?
It's like, whoa, this is sweet, man." And then it's just a part of a movie set. So,
a pre-selfie actually. If we're talking about when it really happened, it'd be like, "Let me get a Kodak moment right here with the fam." Although they probably would have said the whole word family too as well. Wow, things have really changed. He would just say, but before he would say like, "We're gonna get a real Kodak moment here, George. The whole family gather up in front of the Stonehenge, the real life Stonehenge." No, dude, you're on a movie set, bro.
Like, it's time to go. Get come out. One of my favorite scenes is when Morgana she's like,
wait.
I'm not talking about a bit.
You can't drop a favorite bit before we get to favorite bits.
Okay, I'm sorry. Favorite fashion. There's a lot of really cool clothes in the movie, especially with Morgana. Her breastplate is in Sir John Boorman's house, and his will states that it will be given to Dame Helen Mirren when he passes. So,
or battle armor or whatever from the end of the movie.
Yeah, she's got like
but she
really
also has like a fishnet dress. Like, did they invent fishwife dresses? Like, she has some crazy dress when she tries to seduce her half brother. Yeah, folks, it's kind of like one of those. How closely is the royal family related?
Yeah, no, for real. But yeah, no, there's a lot of like outfits that I would totally pick from her closet. I mean, I could keep going, but there's lots of stats.
Yeah, well, I think we'll jump over to some messages and then we'll be back with our favorite bits. Cannonballs? The summer is not about the size of those cannonballs. It's about making a splash with our friends, Manscaped. Prep for barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs the summer has ever seen. When you're out of that cookout, let the meat speak for itself with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. It's time to get ready and not sweaty by going to manscaped.com and using code BWPOD for 20% off and free shipping. Are you tired of feeling sluggish and low on energy? Well, we've got the solution for you. Introducing Sneak Energy Starter Pack, the ultimate energy boost you've been searching for. And guess what? We've got an exclusive offer just for you. Use code BWPSneak15. That's all one word, BWPSneak15, to get a phenomenal 15% off your Sneak Energy Starter Pack. That's right, 15%. Sneak Energy is more than just a regular energy drink. It's a game changer. It's got enhanced focus and sustained energy so you can conquer every task that comes your way. You're worried about sugar? Well, Sneak Energy has got you covered. It's completely sugar-free, making it a healthier choice without compromising on taste or effectiveness. And the flavors? Well, they're irresistible. You got Strawberry Millions and Tropicilla. That's two of my favorites. You got a bunch of fruity blends and refreshing classics. There's a flavor to suit every palate. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. Visit the website, sneakenergy.com, or grab the link in the podcast show notes to claim your Sneak Energy Starter Pack with a fantastic 15% discount. Just remember to enter code BWPSneak15 at checkout. Get ready to unleash your energy, achieve your goals, and make every day count with the Sneak Energy Starter Pack. Order now and let the energy flow. Hey there, listeners. We've got some exciting news to share with you today. Our amazing affiliate partner, Lovehoney, is having a huge sale on their incredible range of adult products. That's right, folks. Now you can save up to a whopping 70% on select items by using our exclusive link. Lovehoney is renowned for their high-quality products. Now you can snag them at unbeatable prices. Whether you're looking to spice things up in the bedroom or explore new boundaries, Lovehoney has got you covered. From sensual lingerie to tantalizing toys, their extensive collection has something for everyone. And the best part, by using our special link, you not only get access to these incredible discounts, but you can also support our podcast. So it's a win-win situation, folks. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Head over to Lovehoney through our link and discover the pleasures that await. Remember, these deals won't last forever, so act fast and let the adventure begin. Get ready to ignite your desires with Lovehoney's sale. Just click the link in our show notes or visit our website to unlock exclusive savings. Happy shopping, and thank you for supporting our podcast. Stay tuned for more exciting updates and fantastic deals. Until next time, take care and embrace the pleasure. Yeah. Welcome back to the Binge-Watchers podcast. Jordan Savage, Johnny Spoiler. We're here talking about Excalibur. Favorite bits from the movie Excalibur. I also wrote down or favorite night or favorite chapter because this movie tried to adapt the entire freaking saga from start to finish. Yes. I mean, they show you how Arthur's conceived. They show you how his son is conceived. I mean, and everything in between. All the affairs. Every knight's individual Holy Grail quest. Every failure. Every achievement. Man. Yeah, I'm not gonna let them know how I'm voting or rating this one this early. So I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna throw it back to Jordan Savage and say, hey, you got some favorite bits?
I'll tell you my favorite knight to start, which is the Knight Percival. Love the guy.
Oh,
he starts off as a peasant and then gets knighted because he decides.
Well, you have to tell the audience that the movie goes through 34 versions of knights before they actually find one that works. Percival is the pinnacle. I mean, I think his name, he has one of those holy names, technically my name is, there's a lot of Christian names out there or Hebrew names or whatever that, they were old world names that became Christian names that became modern names. But Percival means something about the type of knight that he is. You know what I mean? And he's the only one in the story that he's the one that's getting it right after it's almost too late. Anyway,
right,
so I can support
your. Sir Lancelot is supposed to be the knight, but he also has all this lust for Guinevere. But then,
but see, I like that because that means he's a man. The perception of Lancelot is he has all the appropriate characteristics of masculinity, but he has man's foible. And so it's but that, I mean, that's what the movie does well. It shows you the knights have ideals and the round table's an ideal, but it's what will it take a person to live up to the ideals, right? And like I said, it's they go through several versions of the draft of the team. You know what I mean? And then they get to Percival, right? So
yep. Takes a while, and he gets there, towards the very end. I loved the scene when Sir Lancelot and Guinevere are like getting the freak on in the forest, right? And then you also kind of see King Arthur come in. He obviously knows that they are up to no good. It's just like you have all these characters kind of mixed in together. It felt like the actual part of the movie where I'm like, oh, we are headed
he's
somewhere
totally
now.
cockled, and he literally throws down Excalibur, throws down
right
the mantle
into
of
the
being
center.
a king. I'm not a man. You've ruined me. And then but Lancelot, when he wakes up, he cuts himself on the sword, and it's great. I wrote down the quote is a king without a sword, the land without a king, right?
Right,
And
that's
then begins
all hell breaks
Lancelot's
loose.
withdraw. He becomes a hermit, kind of goes crazy, has a nervous breakdown, and
well, even more of my favorite bit of that is while it's all happening, you see Morgana kind of taking that shift and taking over Merlin. And when they're in the dungeon, you can kind of see Sir Lancelot, and you can see Guinevere I don't know if they're they're like mages and they're wizards. So it's I don't know if it's a crystal ball situation, but just in their little dungeon, it just looked so cool, and the dragons coming into the vision, and it was just wild. There was a lot kind of going on, but they had woven it into each other pretty cool. So that was the moment in the movie where I was like, oh, okay, we're about to go somewhere. Okay. There was, I don't know, there was a lot. Anything with Morgana and Merlin that is my favorite stuff. Her son, I forget what his name is.
Helen Mirren portraying Morgana Le Fay in this movie is put her on the map, right? Yeah.
But it's shocked me. I mean, she's stunning. She's always dressed really cool, and she's very sultry. She's a powerful sorceress. Of course I like her. She's the villain, so
I guess it's fair to say she's the best, maybe one of the best Morgana Le Fays. There is a Morgana played by Helen Bonham Carter in the Merlin TV movie, which has what's his name from Jurassic Park, who's actually in. We watched The Possession. Remember the guy who played the husband, Neil something.
Sam Neill.
Yeah, Sam Neill. He plays Merlin in a TV movie, and he does a great job. However,
great Merlin.
Yeah. However, Nicol Williamson is probably the best on-screen Merlin. The only other wizard that rivals him is Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf, but I think Gandalf takes a page from Nicol's book here, in Excalibur. So they're obviously similar. And you had said the origin of this was so maybe Merlin is based on Gandalf, because you were saying that John Boorman wanted to do Lord of the Rings first. So he probably had written a version of the Gandalf character. Wow. It all ties together, folks. You heard it earlier. It's all circling back. Anyway, I might be talking over your favorite bits. I don't know if there's more.
No, they're not really necessarily specific parts. I thought it was hilarious when Merlin laughs in the face of King Arthur when King Arthur was trying to make Guinevere love him, and Merlin was I am not about to go down that road before, because as John has said, you go through the evolution of a lot of different knights and a lot of different kings, and King Uther, the reason why he ends up failing is because Merlin helped him get the affections of Morgana's mother, and it's just
this is Merlin's greatest sin, right? This is what creates the animosity and hatred that drives Morgana to trick the king and breed basically a machine of revenge in the sun that breaks the round table, and the final battle with Mordred, which is extremely poetic. I mean, I wrote down my favorite thing is the final battle with Mordred. However, my favorite knight is actually Lancelot, played by an actor named Nicholas Clay. I haven't seen this dude in other movies. I'm sure he probably has a lustrous career. I don't need to see him in any other movie to know that the guy has game. Just watching Excalibur, bam, good actor, good lover, good sword fighter. Let's go. You know what I mean? I don't need to see his other movies or other performances.
The perm is top notch. I was laughing so hard. I was oh dang, he's got some curly hair under there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but I love when Lancelot is the wild hermit craze version, and he's actually his wound from Excalibur never heals. He comes back. Percival's his son, right?
No, Percival was his what do they call him?
Squire.
Squire, yeah. And
I thought there was a version where Lancelot had a kid with Guinevere.
Well, and that would make sense, right? Because they have, obviously relations, but like in the movie, Percival
I thought there was
the knight. Percival
Maybe I'm thinking like another adaptation, because I thought there was a part of the movie where Lancelot is raising his own son on an island. Maybe I'm imagining that, or like it's another movie. I don't know.
And this was rather long, so it's like your baby.
Which chapter is that? Chapter 17.
Yeah.
And the movie was supposed to be longer. Like there was a 4-hour cut or something. We got the 2-hour, 20-minute cut of this movie. You know what's funny about the fantasy movie month is like, I'm like, am I gonna have time to watch this movie? Like these fantasy movies are epics. You know what I mean? Like taking a little bit longer than some of our other movies.
For sure.
Yeah. So wait, I think I dropped my favorite. Yeah, that's enough. You folks. You have enough to play with.
Lancelot.
We can go on to ratings. We can rate these damn things. We always say binge now, which means get to it right away. Binge later. Get to it eventually, but it's definitely something to have in your playlist somewhere. I don't know. You get bored, it's there. Or binge never. Don't waste. You can't get the 2 hours back or 4 hours, depending on which cut you see. Right? Back to Jordan Savage. What do you think? Where does this line up with your rating?
I would say sticking to the true rules of the ratings.
Yeah.
I have to say binge later. Because it was a little long for me. I was
the
like,
length
cool.
of the movie.
Yes,
you got to commit because you have to commit yourself to watching it, basically.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, exactly. So like, if you have the time, like put it on because it is a little long. I felt like we could have probably put that first half of the movie in about 15 minutes to cut it down about by 45. But it was all important stuff, though, is the thing. Yeah. So like, and this lays groundwork for, I'm sure, so many important fantasy movies. So it's just like, this seems like such a classic. And I'm like, I feel like I want to obviously go binge now, but just it was a little long for me on a Sunday afternoon. Late.
Well, one of the most epic chapters in the movie is when some of the knights don't bend the knee right away, and like Sir Patrick Stewart is playing one of the knights that won't bend the knee, and there's a huge battle, and then it gets to a river, and they're like, okay, I guess you're the king. This is like my 5th or 6th time watching the movie. I didn't realize that John Boorman had such an influence on me creatively. His style, tone, and commitment to getting things made. I didn't realize he's in a small group of directors whose styles influence my own. I won't give you the rest. Figure it out, folks. We've done like 300 episodes. Figure it out who I'm talking about with the other guys or gals. Go figure it out. I'm not telling you. I didn't realize. So I discovered 2 things tonight. John Boorman has an effect on me as a creative person. And I didn't realize the Orion Pictures connection is unique and just really a fun tidbit that I enjoyed. It's a binge now because there's some movies you just have to see. It's like if you want to become an American citizen, there's like things you have to do. I'm sure every country has rules. I don't know if anybody else does. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm slipping into politics, which I promised I'd never do. But I think like part of the test is like you have to have seen Star Wars. So I think like immigrating to England is like, have you seen Excalibur? Holy crap. Talking about immigration laws in England made me think of something that I skipped over because I didn't let Jordan finish the facts because I was interrupting too much and we had to move along. That the Irish cousins
the fight scene,
in the battle scenes didn't stop fighting because they were actually airing out English countryside cousin beefs, like family strife that they had to air out during the filming.
Funny. Some movies too, like the facts are like sometimes are the things that like totally sell me on a movie. So I just thought that was a really fun one. So.
Yeah, I mean, digging for the interesting facts of what we're trying to hope for, folks. The social, casual, or important stuff. That's need to know information. Oh man. So I think I tried not to give it away earlier, but it is a binge now for me because I just feel like if you're watching fantasy movies or epic dramas and you want to see classical British filmmaking, or you just want to see like what's coming from one side of the pond to the other, like I think like this is just one you have to get to. So there you go, binge now for me.
I could have guessed.
Oh, so this fan service. So last week we did an episode about watching The Never Ending Story. We got to make some jokes because Jordan thought I meant to watch this other movie that we were promoting as a special exclusive or feature or whatever, where I actually forgot to mention the audience can get a copy of Becky and Wrath of Becky, which is the sequel, by rating our podcast actually and commenting. You can either go to sub and comment on YouTube, or you can go rate us on like iTunes or wherever else the podcast reviews are. However, I think her name is pronounced Cece, took the time to write back and say like I really liked that you guys covered this movie. I love this movie. I love this movie before I could even speak English. And she had immigrated from like some part of Africa. And I just thought like, wow, like first stop for a couple seconds to think like we connected with a listener or a viewer because she was responding to YouTube about our show. And like from like a bird's eye view, or if you want to take a couple steps back and say like, you can celebrate the successes and like, you can put on band-aids about the failures of the podcast, but then celebrate the successes. But then you're like, we're recording into a void, right? So we don't really know if we're affecting the lives of real people, or like touching the emotions of real people, or like, okay, I'm not joking. I'll take my sunglasses off. I rarely show my real eyeballs. I'm not joking right now. I'm being a serious boy. We don't know if we can affect people who happen to stumble into the show. Mm-hmm. But when she shared with us that it meant a lot that we made a show about this movie, meant a lot to us. And Jordan said, we got to talk about this, because she said before she could even speak English, she watched The Never Ending Story and loved the movie. And it just gave her such a feeling of love. And then and she continued to watch the movie, and it means a lot to her. And it meant a lot to her that we talked about it. That's what I'm going to say. I want to put pressure on Jordan. She can throw her comments in about the comment.
No, I thought it was so wonderful. I just think that's so cool that it did mean a lot. I just think that's like so sweet. And I'd love to see that when people comment on our podcast about stuff that's like that specifically, because we are pretty goofy. We're a little cheesy, but it's also, it means a lot when we can get a comment like that. So bring
Absolutely.
it. More comments, yo.
Now, staff picks. If we watched a movie that's not the movie of the week and we want to talk about it, what can we recommend to the audience, who apparently really is tuning in because they just give us a heartfelt story about the never-ending story? Okay. Jordan, you got some staff picks for us. I said I would throw back. You mentioned a Black Mirror werewolf, the Maisie Day episode of the new season of Black Mirror. I had to dig it up. So we've both seen it.
Yes.
Just to throw it out there.
Yeah, and I spoiled it by saying it's a werewolf show, because you don't really know
technology like wares, like WARE. I was like, oh, Black Mirror is tying into some kind of like computer virus to a werewolf situation. No,
being an idiot, spelling it wrong.
Yeah.
Ugh, man, bliss. But no, it was actually really cool. I liked it. I thought it was, what truly shocks me is like things like how the episode starts is like she's under the influence and she crashes a car and she thinks that she's killed somebody. So she goes on this like nervous breakdown, and obviously these paparazzis are going to be paid big money to capture a photo of her, and they find her.
Folks, let's break it down. This is 45 minutes about three paparazzi guys that get their comeuppance because they follow the wrong star to a health retreat where she's trying to get over being a werewolf. Which is really funny because the doctor's like, we're going to get you through tonight. We're going to get you through tomorrow. And like Jordan just said, like, you think they're talking about like some crazy, drug rehab scenario, but no, it's a werewolf situation. And Zazie Beetz is the main paparazzi girl who actually, she's having like a quandary, like a moral dilemma about being a paparazzi, right? So there you go. There's the redeeming thing about the main character. And then
the only one that lives.
I forgot to write down who played Sheriff Clay, because he's actually in the first Hellboy with Ron Perlman as like one of the special guards from the Paranormal Investigation Unit, and this actor plays like a lot of cops, a lot of military, great like bit players that shows up in a lot of movies, and you go like, that guy, I've seen that guy 1,000 times, but then you can't remember the name. It's such a classic like that. But anyway, he plays the sheriff. Fortunately, folks, he gets eaten. Most people get eaten by anybody who has more than 5 lines of dialogue is eaten by the werewolf. And actually, bystanders at the diner where they have the final showdown get eaten. It's 45 minutes. It's a real romp. The Maisie Day episode. I think this is like season 6 of a show called Black Mirror on Netflix. However, do you know where it draws its references from? Because I'm convinced that the director, producer, or the writers, or a combination of the whole team has definitely seen Wes Craven's Cursed, which is about like Hollywood people being infected by werewolfism, right? We actually mentioned this on the show when we were trying to find out if they were ever going to release the director's cut of Cursed. However, the tone and the content of Maisie Day kind of has a Cursed Wes Craven feel to it. And also the transformation of the werewolf in the room while there's I don't know, acquaintances. Like the paparazzi are in the room where the werewolf is transforming, and the werewolf's trying to warn them before it transforms of the transformation. There's a movie called Waxworks where a guy who runs the Waxworks is actually like living exhibits that steal your soul, and they have to get 666, right? The classic number, you know what I mean? To open a portal to hell and make the monsters all real permanently. And there's a scene where this guy gets turned into a hunter. He's infected, and so he's like in a isolated shack as the guy's saying, like, get out of here, run. And you're not listening. You're just fascinated by the werewolf transforming. And then, of course, it kills you. So that happens in Waxworks. And I swear, whether they want to admit Waxworks is a good movie or not, I feel like the production team of this Maisie Day episode may have seen Waxworks. Or both the movies. May have seen Cursed or Waxworks. Because I feel like, and this could just be my imagination, but I feel like I can tell when filmmakers are referencing other things.
Other films. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But who knows if I'm accurate or not. I don't know. Did you watch anything else?
I feel like I did, but I'm drawing a blank right now. I think.
Well, I mean, you get like 1,000 points for telling me that there's a werewolf episode that I have to go and consume immediately because.
Well, it's good.
Everybody on the show is a diehard werewolf fan. So yeah. So actually, I loved it because it's 45 minutes. It doesn't waste any time. One of Jordan's complaints about tonight's movie that we covered was the fact that it was too long.
So long.
This episode wastes maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but then gets right to it. So that's good. And also the werewolf looked kind of cool.
It did. The transformation's dope. Did you watch anything?
Yeah, I did. You're going to love this because this is reality TV. You ever heard of a show called My Big Fat American Gypsy Wedding?
Yes, and addicted. I loved to watch it on TLC. Let me tell you, so good.
At one point, the mother-in-law is taping up the wedding dress, and then later on, the husband and the wife can't get the wedding dress off. But before that, there was a fight because he went to a bachelor party naturally with a stripper, then dated the stripper for 2 weeks, and then decided to still get married. However, at one point, the gypsy in-laws were on somebody's lawn outside the trailer park, and one of them pulled a switchblade. I was like, yeah, give me some real gypsy drama here and show the switchblades. However, what's funny about the title is they're having to put the word American because real gypsies will be like, oh yeah, if you just named the families in the title, that'd be a lawsuit. Or actually, you get a gypsy curse put on you. Anyway.
To Cursed.
I don't know. One of the, somebody who like, yeah. I watched a few episodes of the show, Jordan.
It's good. I love it. So
wow.
I'm glad that you watched it. I feel like it's one of those things that gets you sucked in, and all of a sudden 3 hours goes by, and you're like, where did the time go? So
wow.
Yeah.
I want to drop a movie plot, but I don't want to because somebody will steal it from me. But I might as well say it. You could easily make a movie, My Big Fat, like werewolf gypsy wedding or whatever, you know? Like
that would be really, I would watch it. Yeah.
Oof. Full moon wedding situation.
Oh man, the worst.
I did watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'll save that for another episode. We're running out of time. I don't want to drop that yet. I'll maybe talk about it next week. However, I went to the movie theaters, which I never do. I went and saw Insidious 5. Then I also bought it on demand and I got suckered in. It tricked me. It's a pre-sale for number 5, but unlocks the other 4 movies in a bundle. But number 5 isn't there.
Oh.
However, I did see it in the theater. I like seeing this. So, I guess I'll quickly try to explain Insidious. The dad is haunted by a ghost that tries to possess him. Meanwhile, there's an alternate ghost dimension called the Further that we can go into. And there's like a psychic and her 2 pals that investigate things, try to help the family. And the ghost that's haunting the dad is like a serial killer. Real freaky dude. A spoiler alert, you think he's a woman for half the movie. Then you find out he's a serial killer dressed as a woman. But he has stolen this. The son has been stolen by like this little crazy demon guy who plays old music. And so the kid gets trapped. So the son gets trapped behind this room. And then the whole movie is get the son back so he can wake up out of the coma, blah, blah, blah. And the other plots get a little crazy. There's a subplot with the psychic and her friends investigating some other thing that happens to somebody else. The dad gets possessed in part 2. Number 5 ties back into how the adult version of the son goes through the alternate dimension, but also is fighting with the dad in part 2. So they add more to the story of the second movie in number 5. You know what I mean? Super, super crazy, right? Adding to the story of number 5. Then it's cool to see the son grown up and trying to realize what happened to him and the abilities. And also everybody's a sucker for these really good family dramas that involve paranormal activities. Was it better? Insidious 5, a little better than number Insidious 4. Although I think which is really funny because my favorite is the original, followed by, did you see part 3, which has nothing to do with the original family, but has the cigarette man, and he's a cancer victim, but is really evil. No, you didn't see. That's no. And there's another girl that's getting haunted. Yeah. So I mean, that's my favorite is the side quest story, which has nothing to do with the main family, but it's really cool that the movie follows this same group of people, right?
Right.
And it's in the Conjuring universe because there's the Conjuring tied in.
Number them. What your favorites? Number them. Go in order from favorite to least favorite.
So number 1, then 3, which is a side quest, then 5, then 2, and then 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think so. And then there's the crossover with the Conjuring, which happens in the Conjuring 2, around Conjuring 2-ish, I think. So how everything's tied together by the Conjuring because they fight the evil doll in Annabelle, they fight the evil nun in the Nun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything's tied around the Warrens.
This is when I need a flow chart. I'm just flow chart it for me. I want to do that. It's
the movie flow charts.
That's
we don't got a budget for visual graphics here, Jordan. Just pop it up on the screen right now would be here you go, guys.
Too bad we can't whiteboard it for people live.
Oh wow, yeah. We could. I do have a whiteboard. I mean, I could do whiteboards. Man. Yeah, some other time. Whiteboards. Budget for whiteboardings. Sounds like a torture. I'm like, we're just gonna almost sounds like I was being real whatever. I don't know. The fantasy movies are so long that the podcasts about fantasy movies are also getting long. I mean,
it's gotta be.
We're breaking an hour this week. We broke an hour last week. I mean, these are some long ass podcasts, Jordan. What are you gonna do?
Honestly, 2 hour and 15-minute movie. I would say my recorder says 48 minutes, and that just makes sense. So,
all right, sweet little 45. Werewolves at a Wedding. That movie's sold.
We gotta make that movie. Yeah, it's done. It's done.
There's another movie that Jordan created 3 or 4 episodes ago, which I think is freaking amazing.
The female Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, a female phantom. Trademark, copyright, Binge-Watchers podcast, Jordan Savage.
You heard it here first.
You gotta pay her to get that movie. But I'd watch that too. I think it's great.